Meghan Markle's departure from royal life was one of the most talked-about events of the last decade. Once a working royal representing the monarchy with her husband, Prince Harry, Meghan's decision to step back from official duties marked the beginning of a new chapter, one that she hoped would redefine her not just as a duchess, but as a global influencer and creative force in the entertainment industry. Her move to California symbolized a break from tradition, a bold leap into freedom, and the promise of creative autonomy. She and Harry quickly aligned themselves with media platforms that would help bring their voices to the forefront. Netflix, in particular, emerged as a central player in their post-royal journey, offering a reported $100 million deal to produce content that was both meaningful and profitable. Meghan's own projects, including lifestyle series and inspirational programs, were pitched as authentic reflections of her life, passions, and beliefs. Audiences were told they were seeing the real Meghan, a woman who had stepped out of the palace shadows and into her truth. But that truth is now being questioned. The revelation that one of Meghan's most intimate on-screen moments, her pregnancy video, was actually staged, has rocked the very foundation of her carefully constructed brand. What began as a quest for authenticity has now spiraled into accusations of dishonesty, manipulation, and performative deception. The emotional core that anchored her brand, the emotional pregnancy video, in which Meghan appeared to joyfully cradle her baby bump in a flowing white dress while dancing barefoot in a sun-drenched room, was once seen as a raw, powerful statement of motherhood. It represented everything she claimed to stand for: openness, vulnerability, and connection. Millions were touched by the visual, which felt less like a media product and more like a tender family moment captured organically. This imagery quickly became symbolic of her brand. It was shared widely across social media, referenced in interviews, and used as a promotional tool for her upcoming lifestyle show. In many ways, it became a visual anthem of Meghan's new era, one that traded palace etiquette for California warmth and royal rigidity for maternal softness. The video was repeatedly praised as a moving piece of visual storytelling. However, when Meghan allegedly confessed in a recent viral clip that the video had been staged for cinematic purposes, the narrative shattered. The confession transformed what was once seen as a genuine moment into a manufactured scene. While some public figures have gotten away with such revelations in the past by owning the performance aspect, Meghan's case is different because her entire brand was sold as deeply authentic. The fallout has been both fierce and immediate. The viral confession that sparked outrage the internet, already polarized in its views of Meghan, exploded with rage after the clip surfaced. In the video, Meghan reportedly justified the reenactment as a recreation of a moment too emotional to capture spontaneously. But this explanation did little to quell the uproar. For many, this wasn't simply about artistic license, it was about trust. It felt like a betrayal of the unspoken contract between a celebrity and her audience. When you say you're showing us your life, we expect it to be real. Social media users reacted with disbelief, anger, and a strong sense of disillusionment. TikTok creators began analyzing the video frame by frame, YouTube commentators called it emotional exploitation, and former supporters voiced regret over ever believing in her public image. For critics who had long accused Meghan of being overly scripted, this revelation served as validation. The term PR pregnancy was resurrected with a vengeance, trending across multiple platforms and further cementing public skepticism. The confession's timing only worsened the impact. It came just as Meghan's new show was about to be rolled out. What should have been a moment of excitement and publicity became a full-blown crisis. The tension between Meghan's on-screen persona and off-screen reality could no longer be ignored, and the resulting storm was too great to weather without consequences. Netflix's sudden and silent cancellation. Netflix, which had been one of Meghan's most prominent professional partners, acted swiftly. Within 2 days of the viral video's emergence, the company quietly pulled the plug on her upcoming cooking and lifestyle series. There was no formal announcement, no media statement, and no explanation offered. The silence was strategic, but also deafening. The absence of a defense from Netflix spoke volumes about how much damage control was already underway behind closed doors. Insiders reported that the decision was not taken lightly. Executives had invested heavily in Meghan's brand, believing it to be a reliable draw for a diverse, global audience. The company had weathered previous controversies with her projects, including poor ratings and lukewarm reception, but this time was different. The integrity of the content was now in question, and so too was the platform's association with it. The risk of reputational damage had become too high. The show, once slated to be a flagship addition to Netflix's lifestyle content lineup, vanished without a trace. No trailers, no previews, no coming soon posts. It was erased from their ecosystem as though it never existed. This quiet erasure sent a powerful message to Hollywood and viewers alike. Netflix was cutting its losses and stepping away. Previous projects that raised eyebrows, this wasn't the first time Meghan's content had drawn skepticism. Her earlier projects with Netflix had already triggered criticism and whispers of inauthenticity. The animated series Pearl, which was intended to be a feminist reimagining of childhood stories, was shelved after reports of plagiarism emerged. A British author claimed that the concept mirrored her own works too closely, and although no legal battles went public, the project disappeared quietly amid the controversy. Then there was With Love, Meghan, a soft-focus lifestyle feature designed to showcase Meghan's home, family routines, and culinary habits. While initially praised for its aesthetic, it was later revealed that the picturesque setting used for filming was not her real home, but a rented property staged to appear personal. This revelation further eroded the credibility of the content, and many began to question the entire premise of her Netflix deal. Even the much-touted documentary on Prince Harry's polo charity work was received with skepticism. Marketed as a heartfelt project showcasing the couple's philanthropic efforts, the final result was mocked as shallow and self-serving. Viewership was low, and critics panned it as content without substance. Each of these failures chipped away at the public's faith in Meghan's media ambitions, setting the stage for the final blow. The collapse of Meghan's Hollywood image. Hollywood thrives on illusion, but it also demands a core of sincerity, especially when content is presented as autobiographical or deeply personal. Meghan's brand, which leaned heavily into emotional truth and empowerment, was undone by the revelation that her most intimate moment was orchestrated. The confession turned public perception from admiration to suspicion, and from belief to disillusionment. Executives who were once eager to sign her onto new projects have begun backing away. Casting directors are reportedly removing her name from consideration for voiceovers, narrations, and hosting gigs. Meetings are being canceled or indefinitely postponed, and even brand partnerships that once celebrated her as a modern icon are reconsidering future campaigns. Meghan hasn't been officially blacklisted, but she is certainly being quietly excluded. There's a sense now that Meghan may no longer be seen as bankable. Her very presence risks backlash, and in a competitive industry where marketability is everything, her current PR crisis has made her toxic in the eyes of many insiders. Whether or not this exclusion will be temporary depends on how she chooses to respond, but the damage is undeniably deep. The backlash from fans and followers, perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this scandal, is the shift in her fanbase. Once fiercely loyal, many of Meghan's followers are now expressing confusion and disappointment. People who once defended her against the media's harshest critiques are beginning to question her sincerity. Comment sections across Instagram, YouTube, and X, formerly Twitter, are flooded with statements like, "I wanted to believe in her," and "If this was staged, what else has been?" The emotional response is not merely rooted in celebrity gossip, it stems from a genuine sense of betrayal. Meghan had positioned herself as a champion for women, a voice for the voiceless, and a public figure who had endured cruelty with grace. For many, believing in Meghan meant believing that someone could rise above the palace politics and forge a life of authenticity and purpose. Now, those same supporters feel as though the entire narrative may have been an elaborate performance. The staged pregnancy video is being re-examined as a symbol of everything that was possibly curated for optics. The level of scrutiny is growing harsher, and even supportive communities online are turning into echo chambers of regret and criticism. Behind the scenes, a PR disaster unfolds inside Meghan's camp. The mood is reportedly one of panic and disarray. Her public relations team is working overtime to contain the narrative, but they are facing an uphill battle. Initial statements describing the reenactment as a form of emotional storytelling failed to gain traction. Attempts to redirect attention toward her charity work have been met with cynicism, and planned interviews have been postponed to avoid further controversy. Sources close to the situation describe crisis meetings that last late into the night, frantic calls to industry contacts, and an atmosphere of fear over what scandal might surface next. Every past project, every interview, and every social post is now being re-examined for inconsistencies or signs of manipulation. The fear is no longer just about this video. It's about a possible avalanche of similar revelations. In the realm of celebrity, especially in a world dominated by digital media, recovery from such a fall requires more than a new press release. It requires a seismic shift in narrative, often followed by a period of quiet reflection. But even that may not be enough. When the foundation of a brand is perceived to be false, rebuilding it is close to impossible. The future remains uncertain. Meghan Markle once symbolized a new kind of royalty, one that blended glamour with social activism, fame with empathy. Her downfall now serves as a stark warning of the risks involved when personal branding becomes too reliant on performance. Audiences today are more perceptive than ever, and they demand more than just a compelling story. They want truth. The future of Meghan's entertainment career now hangs in limbo. With Netflix backing out and other partners reconsidering, her once promising Hollywood reign appears to be over, or at least indefinitely stalled. Whether she can mount a comeback depends on how she navigates the coming months. She may choose to lie low, pen a memoir, or even attempt another rebrand. But the path forward will be steep, and the eyes of the world will be watching every step she takes. What began as a story of liberation and empowerment has ended in scandal and scrutiny. Meghan Markle's Netflix era is over, and the illusion of authenticity that once captivated millions has finally crumbled.